Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Network Our podcast. I am your host, Molly Crease, and today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Danielle Medina, and we have so much to talk about today. So before we jump into it, I'm just going to give you a little bit about Danielle. She is the creator of Fit and Play Mama LLC, a fitness and yoga and nutrition educational resource for adults and children. So we're going to be talking all about fitness and wellness and all that stuff today. Good stuff. And in her business, she offers consultations, classes, workshops, meal plan cooking guides, and so much more. She is a certified fitness or yoga expert, culinary educator, nutritionist, and a mom. And today we are excited to have on the podcast with us Miss Danielle Medina. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you, Molly. So good to be here.
It is so great to have you here. So before we dive into the important stuff and all of that stuff, I was just asking you about how your day was and all of that, and you were telling me about being a homeschool mom. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, it is another job on its own. So, but I love it. I love what I do. I love being with my daughter. She is 7, and we have been, I knew since she was born, I knew I wanted to homeschool. I knew I wanted to spend as much quality time with her as much as possible. And I wanted to really be in those early childhood years with her. I really wanted to be able to see her grow and see how she progressed. So I have an education background. I've been teaching in preschools and elementary schools about fitness and mindfulness. And I just knew that I wanted to give her what I've been doing for so many years, and it's been going really well. And I could see that it is making an impact on her, seeing her mother do her jobs and be able to speak in all different types and environments. And she sees that. And I think that she can see like, oh, wow, I have somebody to look up to. And it's my mom. So it's great.
Do you think it's better than having her in that school environment where she's among other peers, or how do you make up for that? I'm always curious about that.
And it's a great question. What I do is, so part of the week we're together, and then the other half of the week we have a homeschooling co-op, which other like-minded families who want to do homeschooling, they will come together. We have a space and we bring the kids in, we hire a tutor, and then they learn how to do basic, math, language arts, but they also are having that social time, right? So, and they always talk about that socialization, but homeschooling children are really good at speaking to pretty much anybody, whether they're adults or children of any ages, because they're not in just one group. There's many mixed levels and many different ages in the group. So it's been really, I can see the results.
Right. So I would say you were not one of those parents who struggled during the pandemic when school was out and you had to teach your kid at home.
Yeah, we were already in it, and she was only, I think, 4 at that time, so it
Yeah.
was it was just fine. And we, like I said, it was already a part of the plan, so it wasn't a surprise for us.
Yeah, yeah. Have you seen that show? It's called what's it called? It's called Parent Trap, where they show all they have these parents in sort of a kind of a thing where they putting them and their children in different situations, and then they have the parents. One pair of parents was helicopter parents, another one focused mainly on the academics. And there was another one that called, I think it was Free Spirit or whatever. They just let their children do whatever and learn on their own or whatever. Have you
Yeah.
seen it or no?
I haven't seen it, but I have friends who have mentioned that actual show. So no, I haven't seen it. But it's true. There are many different styles of parenting. and whatever works for your child, because every child is different, every child learns differently. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to kind of see where you need to be. But I think my parenting style is kind of probably a mixture of all of those because, there's moments when I am free spirited, there's moments when I'm more like structured. This is what needs to be done.
Yeah,
But
the discipline and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of parents are probably very similar in the same where we do mix and match.
Yeah, yeah. It was pretty interesting when I looked at it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. But I just thought I brought it up since you a homeschool mom and stuff like that. Getting the fun questions out of the way. So seeing that you're someone into fitness and wellness and nutrition and all of that stuff, I always ask people, a lot of people give different answers with this question. So I'm curious to know what your answer is. What do you think is the most important meal of the day? And what should I have for that meal? What is ideal for me to have for that meal?
This is actually, it's so funny. So we talked about this today with the kids. In my opinion, and actually there's a lot of studies out there, breakfast, right? You're breaking the fast, right? So you slept all those hours, hopefully 8 hours, right? Or more, because that's important to get your sleep. That's a part of wellness. So when you wake up, breakfast, you need to feel your body, right? So what I usually do from me, I love a big bowl of oatmeal. If you're into oatmeal, I think it's a really great meal to have because one, you can put so many different things in it. I usually put some almond butter in it, and that's the healthy fats, right? So we have healthy fats. I put some nuts and seeds in there. I will put some
Mm.
I'll sweeten it with either with honey or with agave, or there's even date syrup. And then you can put so many different fruits in there. So that in itself, that big oatmeal bowl is going to fill me up for a while. So I highly recommend that when you are going to eat something, you want to make sure that it's really hearty. And because of I'm plant-based now, I've been plant-based for 2 years, or a little over 2 years. I used to have a lot of scrambled eggs. So when I went plant-based, I was like, well, how do I how do you replace scrambled eggs? So I
Wait, no
found
more scrambled
no more scrambled eggs.
eggs? Are you kidding me?
And that was a staple. So then what we did is I did a lot of research, I did a lot of cooking and trying to figure it out. So I found a really great tofu scramble recipe. And it is absolutely delicious because you're not only you have the protein from the tofu, but I started cutting up vegetables. I put mushrooms in there. I mean, everything is going into this scramble and it tastes so delicious. I would definitely, if I had it I would bring it and show you, but I have pictures on my website. So it's
To
so good.
I gotta look at your website because
Yeah.
I just knew you were gonna say tofu, and I was
Yes.
like, I don't like do
That's
not like.
okay. There's other options as well. As you don't have to have tofu. No, no. There's so many different ways to make it that you can not use the tofu. There's other options and substitutions. So it's really good. And again, you want to think of something hearty. So instead of maybe putting beans in it, I've had beans with it. I've had black beans and red beans in it. So it's just a matter of just bringing all the vegetables together and
Mhm.
then that protein. And again, you can put it on some toast. Sometimes I make a burrito, a breakfast burrito, and I put it in with the tortilla, and it's just so good. And it really,
Mhm.
again, it's going to keep you satiated for a while.
Yeah, I've never looked at it that way when they say breakfast, that you have been on a break since whenever you went to bed and wait. I've never looked at it that way. And I'm someone who would get up and skip breakfast because it's easy to just skip it because lunch is right around the corner. You like, okay, I'll just grab lunch.
Yeah.
But I've never looked at it like that.
Yes.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to do better at making sure that I get that breakfast.
Oh, definitely.
And so when you've had such a hearty good breakfast, because I view that as being such a good hearty breakfast. Now, how do you tackle lunch after that? What do you get for lunch?
So for lunch, a lot of times I will make a veggie burger, right? So and
Oh,
again, veggie burgers are so easy to make because you're just either whether it can be a black bean burger or you can have veggies and you put it all in a patty. I mean, the recipes are really easy. And then you put them in the oven, you let them cook for a bit. But that's one option, right? The other options are just having like a sandwich, right? And so
mhm.
again, because I'm more leaning towards plant-based, like so for example, like say a bacon lettuce tomato sandwich. Well, now there's tempeh. I don't know if you know what tempeh is. That
No.
is it's like a tofu, but it's fermented, so it has a little bit of a different taste. But you can make it's called tempeh bacon, so you can make it into like it tastes very, very similar, and you put it into a sandwich with the lettuce and the tomato, and um, bread, and then you just put it together, and it's so good. Again, like I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything because I found substitutions, and that's the thing when you switch your diet into eating more healthier. You don't want to sacrifice your taste, right? You don't want to
Hmm.
sacrifice like, oh, I can't eat this type of food, or I can't have this, and I can't. But when you know how to season things and you know what you normally like and you find those substitutions, then I definitely feel satisfied. I don't feel like I'm missing anything at all. And I feel healthy. I feel like after I eat it, I feel energized
Hmm.
rather than feeling, I gotta like take a nap right now, like I am like, okay, I'm ready for the next thing. What do I need to do now? So there's just so many options. There's also, you can make anything from even a bean bowl where you can put a bunch of different beans in it and put a different types of veggies in it. So, and then put some brown rice on that or some quinoa, and then you have another really amazing hearty meal to
Yeah.
send you into the evening.
Yeah. I've been trying to go healthy, and we're dipping into the nutrition part now because I feel like, and this could be partly because I'm not having a substantial breakfast or what have you, but I find that before when I was in my 30s and 20s, I could have skipped breakfast and not eat lunch until 2, 3 o'clock, and I'll be fine. Now, if I don't get lunch by 12 or what have you, I am getting a splitting headache. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And if I don't go quickly and get something to eat, it's gonna be that headache is gonna be there all evening. So tell
Yes.
me about what is up with that?
What is happening, right? So you are in almost starvation mode. And so your body is like almost basically what it's doing, it's breaking down because it needs to you have storage, you have some storage in your body that is like it's coming out because it needs to feed your brain. So we live on glucose, right? That's the main source. So that's what fuels our brain. So your body's breaking down whether it's fats or proteins in your body, and then it's sending that into your brain so that your brain can keep functioning basically. But you are hungry, so then now you have that pain or the headache in your head, so now you need to eat. So that's what your brain is like saying, I'm hungry and I need to eat. So that's why breakfast is such a huge important meal that everybody needs to eat, whether even if it's like you're on the go. Like I know some clients are like, but I don't have time to make oatmeal. I don't have to, there's overnight oats where you can put the oatmeal in whether it's water, if you want to do like I'd put it in almond milk, and I put some maple syrup to make it sweet, and I put a couple of fruits in there. I leave it in my refrigerator overnight. And because of the milk, it cooks the oats in the
Oh,
refrigerator.
wow.
Yes. So you wake up and you know what? It's cold. If you want to just heat it up real quickly, you can either put it in the microwave or put it on the stovetop just for like a few minutes just to heat it up. But it's ready for you to eat. So you can go, you can grab it and go. So that's
Oh my
simple.
gosh, that's a lifesaver. I
It's
mean, that's
yes,
something that I will definitely try because I'm always just running out of the house.
yes. Yeah. So you want to think beforehand, like the night before. If I have to leave really quickly and I don't have enough time, that's what we have a fruit bowl in our kitchen. So we definitely have our apples and we have either bananas, sometimes we have strawberries and blueberries. So that's another really great thing that it's really easy to grab that. It's basically, if you just have to go and grab that. I would say definitely try to stay away from some of the breakfast bars because they are high in sugar.
Mhm.
So if you have to, if it's a must, just make it, that's your emergency. That's like this thing that you're going to need, like just in case. But try to do something more of like the overnight cooked oats, or even something where, like, if you're making like a tofu scramble, like I was saying. But if you wanted to just do it like the night before, where it's just like you can saute just a bunch of vegetables, put them in the burrito, and then when you get up in the morning, just heat it up again, whether it's in the toaster oven, and then it's ready to go. So you don't have to like think about that in the morning.
That is so helpful. That is such awesome stuff. Um, so let's dive a bit. Let's get away from that a little bit. We'll come back to that. I know people are listening and they're like, oh, they're gonna listen to this and be like, oh, I didn't know that. But let's dig into you a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about why this line of career? Why wellness? Why
Yeah.
fitness and yoga and all that stuff? Where did the love start? Where did the passion come from? Tell us more about that.
Yes. So my love of fitness started when I was probably about 4 or 5. I was a child of the 80s and I would watch this show, and I don't even remember the name of the show, but it was a fitness show. And it was just, I was watching it and I started doing the fitness moves at such a young age, and I really enjoyed it. And then from there, I just kind of like really got into fitness. I became an athlete. I was doing softball and I was doing tennis. So when I was in college, my first job was in a yoga studio and I became a yoga instructor. And then from there, I started getting more certifications in Pilates and in Zumba and cardio classes and teaching kids classes. So I always had a love of movement. I always felt really good. It made me feel so good to move, and it felt good to sweat because I felt like anytime you feel like you just want to release, it's the sweat that when you're really working out, and that feels good. So hopefully that feels good for a lot of people as well. Then the other thing is I suffered a lot as a child, not as a child necessarily, but in my adolescence, I had really bad acne. I had really painful acne that I had to go on certain medications for it. And even through the fitness, that didn't really help, right? So I'm doing all this fitness and it's not helping my face. I was also suffering from gastrointestinal issues where I was bloated a lot. I had constipation and indigestion. So again, that wasn't helping with the fitness part. So I said, okay, what am I eating? So I was looking at what I was eating, and at that time I was in college learning how to become a nutritionist. So I just knew that okay, there must be a connection between what's happening on my face, what's happening in my gastrointestinal issues. There must be something I'm eating. So when I started eliminating certain foods and started eating more healthier foods, I started seeing a better result. But when I went completely plant-based, right, which was basically becoming vegan, I was able to really heal my skin. I was really able to see that. I was like, oh, wow, I'd look in the mirror and see less pimples, and I would definitely feel less bloated and I would feel less indigestion. So when that happened, I was like, oh, now I understand the connection between our food and how we eat. And also stress, right? I mean, stress is a huge part of it because you can be doing all these things. You could be eating well, you could be exercising well, but if your stress levels are also very high, that's going to affect you in different ways. So I just knew, just from my own experiment in my own body, learning, okay, these are the things that help me, are helping me to heal. So, and then I wanted to spread the word, and that's where Fit and Play Mama came about.
Nice. That is great. That's an awesome story. And you answered everything asking you so why did you start with why kids? What's the connection there?
Yeah. I just love teaching kids. I think that they're so fun, and it keeps me as well, keeps me in a playful mood. So I know that when I'm teaching a child, they look at you like you are the most amazing person in the world because you're giving them a lot. You're giving them your all. They want to really learn from you. So even before I had my daughter, I was teaching a lot of kid classes, and I just really had a connection. I always loved teaching children. I always found it very fun and very satisfying to be with them, and just to see like that you know they're the world is nothing, like they don't really hold on to stress like we do as adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned from that. I'm like, yeah, you know what, I probably shouldn't worry about that too much. And so when I had my daughter, that's when I knew, I was like, I really just want to keep teaching kids as much as possible, and parents, because they're really a part of this, right? We don't
Mm-hmm.
want them to feel stressed out and feel like, oh, they can't do their fitness routines, they can't eat well, they have to take care of their child. How do they make their food when they get home? So I'm trying to fill that gap where you can still do all of this. It's just, it's going to look different and it's going to be more playful, but
Yeah.
we can get this done.
Yeah. What do you think about I was listening to the View the other day and they were talking about a story. They were talking about schools now trying to weigh kids in school. What do you
Mm,
think about that? And what do you think about what schools are providing in terms of meal for kids' nutrition so
yeah.
that there is not so much obesity cases and all of that stuff?
Yeah.
What are some of your advice in that area?
Yeah. So first, weighing children and putting that as a something that's important is definitely something that we probably shouldn't be doing at such an early age. There are other ways of addressing whether the child is overweight or obese, but weighing them, and if it's going to be like a constant, that is not necessarily the most important thing, right? So we want to make sure that we're talking to them about what are the important healthy choices that we need to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's food, right? When it comes to food, well, we do know that a lot of processed foods are not good for our bodies, right? So we need to talk about that with them. We need to provide that for them while they're either at home or even at school. So we have to find more foods that are going to be nutritious, taste
Mm-hmm.
good for them, but not processed, not a lot of packaged foods, not a lot of fried foods. We need to, as just from an education standpoint, have more education on that for the parents as well,
Mm-hmm.
because when they go home, right, if they are getting the education in school, the parents need to also be on board and understand, like, okay, well, what are the foods? Because every parent wants to take care of their child. I mean, it's something that you want to do. I mean, you're feeding your child, but sometimes a lot of parents don't know exactly what are the healthy foods to feed your child. And that's where educators like I come in, where we give them solutions, we give them options so that they know, okay, when I'm going to the store, here's a list of some of the things, that the items that I can choose and purchase from. And here's the list of items that we want to limit. We don't want to have so much of. So you still want, kids are going to still have certain foods, and that's okay, but it shouldn't be an everyday thing. So that's
Mhm.
where it comes in with education.
Yeah. And I imagine too that that would affect someone's self-esteem even as a kid, because even adults, even when I go to the doctor, I don't want to get on the scale. I don't want to I don't want to see that, because it just does something to me inside when you say this is the figure or whatever, and it's crazy. That brings me to another question I had for you. What do you think about the BMI and measuring that
Yes.
BMI? Is it really a thing, or is it just outdated at this point?
It's useful in certain situations. Definitely something, it is a bit outdated. Yes, I definitely agree with that. But it is useful. But again, when we're looking to help a child or even an adult to lose weight, we have to look at it in a healthier way, right? So we know that there are certain lifestyle choices that will help to lose weight, to help if they're suffering from certain chronic illnesses or diseases. We want to make sure that we are doing the right things for that. So whether, again, like we know that a lot of whole food plant-based foods are healthy, and they are going to stop a lot of the ailments that people are feeling. So we want to increase that as much as possible. So we want to have that conversation of, okay, what are you eating most of the days? What is your breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack look like? So BMI is going to be it's going to be a tool, but it's not going to be something that we have to like, this is what it is, and you have to look at this number all the time. No, we're going to try to stop putting labels on people and look at people as a whole, and then start talking about, okay, let's try to figure out some behavior changes that we can make.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Who is most I should say not difficult. Who's most challenging to work with? Is it the kids or the adults?
Yeah. Everybody has their thing, but I think it's adults, kids are more willing, I think, to change. I feel like when I do my kids cooking classes, they'll take a taste, and but if their friends like, oh, this is not too bad, and then they'll be like, let me try. Where adults, I know they get like very like, okay, this is how I ate since childhood, this is how I've been eating, and I don't want to change it. And but it takes a little bit more time. It's emotional. Food is very emotional for adults.
Yeah,
People are attached to certain foods, certain meals. They remind you of childhood. They remind you of certain situations, and it's comforting. Where children, they're a little bit more open because they don't have a lot of that baggage of just years and years of eating a certain way. So you do have more of a benefit of changing a child's diet faster than, say, an adult. It takes time. Like they really have to. Adult has to really be committed to it, and they have to be like, I do want to make this change. Or you can kind of chip away at it and be like, why don't you try a little bit of this or try a little bit of that, and just open your mind, try it. It's okay. If you don't like it, it's okay. Maybe it's something in the seasoning, maybe it's this. And that's the thing, like everybody has cultural the way they eat is very cultural, and it's certain spices. So that's when I'm teaching classes, culinary classes, I make sure that whatever the demographic that I'm teaching, I'm going to be using the spices that they normally use. So it still tastes pretty similar, whether I'm using whatever protein that it is. So it's not like it's a totally different type of meal that they never had before.
yeah. What advice would you give to someone who is trying to make a change and trying to start their fitness journey? What advice would you give to them?
Right.
to get started.
Yeah. Only if you can just spare 10 minutes in that day, in the whole day, right? If you can just do 10 minutes, whether it's go for a walk around the block, whether it's if you want to stay home and you're just doing some movement where you're lifting your arms up, arms out to the side, and you're just doing a march in place, or if you join a fitness class, right? Once a week, you join a fitness class. That is the first step. Just getting that either 10 minutes or one fitness class in for the week. You're going to build up on that, obviously, right? But it's just opening the door so that you can say, oh, okay, and that's the great thing about fitness. There's so many choices now. There's whether you're doing low impact to high impact, whether you want to do a dance related type of fitness or you want to do something where it's just like doing Pilates, where you're just working on your core. So there's plenty of options. It's just putting that in your schedule. You put in your schedule, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to take that one class once a week, 10 minutes a day. I'm going to do something. I'm just going to keep, instead of sitting at the desk a lot where we're always at our desk and we're always on our computers, we want to just get up, set the timer, 10 minutes, move around. And then guess what? That's the start of the routine. And that's the start of a habit. Once you make it a habit, it's going to become, oh, I guess I can add maybe 5 more minutes to that routine that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it keeps progressing.
Yeah, I know we're running out of time, but what are some simple yoga exercises that you can do? Like you said, getting if you're sitting at your desk for too long, if you get up, what are some simple yoga stuff you can do? Or even when you wake up in the morning to get that blood pumping, or even before bed, what would you suggest?
Definitely. So I always like reaching my arms all the way up and I go side to side. This is always great because you open up the sides of your body, your arms are coming up over your head. So you're also helping with lifting up through the lungs and all of this part, like the upper body. So I always do like a simple stretch here where I go like this side to side, and then I go forward and I go down. So up and down. There are so many different types of stretches, but like just that simple thing where you're just standing up and you lift your arms up over your head and you do those side bends, it's always good because we have our spine is very sensitive. So you want to make sure that it's mobile. That's the most important thing. So get your spine moving, do your arches and your curves side to side. So you're getting your rib cage going. But the spine is so important because that's going to keep you upright throughout the entire day. And if you really want to, and I deal with a lot of clients where they have their lower back issues, and it's because of being in one space and whether it's at that sitting position and not being able to, really flex the spine. And that's so important in health. If you have a healthy spine, you're on your way to being healthier in other ways. So
yeah, I realized that happened to me when I was in my I want to say mid to late 30s. I started having lower back issues because of the job that I do, being sitting at a desk in front of a computer all day, and you realize that there's too much pressure there for all day. And now what I try to do is I try to get up and walk, and I try to do stretches before bed and also when I wake up in the morning to kind of get that movement going. So it definitely helps because sometimes you feel really stiff there and you feel like you can't bend forward or bend backward. And so getting that motion, like you said, is really, really important. And even as you get older, it's very important to keep doing those stretches.
absolutely.
Definitely, definitely. This has been so helpful, Danielle. I feel like you have to come back because there's so many there's so many more questions I have around nutrition and fitness and wellness and all of that stuff. Wait, before we go, one more question because I wanted to ask you this. One of my friends, I saw her on Facebook. She went through her fitness journey, and she documented it on Facebook. And she did hot yoga, and it seemed really effective because she lost
Mhm,
a lot of weight. And I
mhm.
never knew that yoga can get you to that point.
Yeah.
Talk quickly about that.
So, well, hot yoga is different from the traditional yoga that we're thinking of, right? So, yoga usually is slow and you're holding the poses, and usually the temperature of the room is the same as whatever the temperature is outside. Now, hot yoga, I believe they set the temperature to 103. I think it's very hot. So as soon as you walk in the room, you're already sweating. And as I was saying in the beginning, sweating releases toxins. Sweating is also a really great way to lose weight, right? Because you're doing
Mm,
something. So, and the poses that they do, the sequence, because it's a very specific sequence that they do in hot yoga. So it's a little faster. You're holding and you're really twisting your body in different ways. So it's kind of like a cardio class a little bit,
mhm.
and you're and it's hot. So you're definitely sweating a lot, and that would help. And it's probably also what she was eating as well. I'm sure she paired it with hot yoga, and probably she
Yeah.
probably had a really good diet as well, because you want to make sure that, yeah, you can do the hot yoga, but you still want to eat as well as, and bring it together. So I'm curious to see that what she did with
Yeah, yeah.
food. Yeah.
Do you think will you recommend that for people who like having issues like lower back pain or knee pain or whatever? Will that loosen the muscles a little bit more?
It definitely could. And I think, if as long as you don't have high blood pressure or any kind of medical issues, because again, it's in a very extreme environment.
Hmm.
That being said, go and try it. Absolutely. I think that's what I was saying. There's just a huge different variety of types of fitness. I, for one, I'm not crazy about hot yoga. I just feel like it's just too hot, and I feel a little um just it don't feel as good afterwards, like as opposed to doing a regular yoga class. But
Yeah.
that's just me. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean that it's not good for you or for anyone else trying it. So I definitely think, and then I encourage, try it. I think that who knows, you might like it, and it might be something that you will do on a regular, whatever gets you to move on a regular basis. That's what we want.
Yeah, I can't do it because even when I'm working out at a gym or what have you, if I push myself too hard and my body heats up too much, I start getting dizzy and to pass
Yes.
out. So I
Yes.
imagine me being in that hot yoga space, it's not gonna work for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yes.
it's not for me, but it might be for somebody else, like
Might
you
be.
said.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Danielle. Tell people quickly where they can find you, how they can book you to work with you, and where they can follow you and all of that good stuff.
Absolutely. So you can go to my website at Fit and Play Mama. That's FITN Play, PLAY, Mama, MAMA .com. And they can email me at fitandplaymama@gmail.com, and follow me on Facebook and Instagram, fitandplaymama.com. And I look forward to helping everyone out on their healing journeys and having lots of fun while we're doing it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle. And thank you, everyone that would be listening to this podcast. I hope that you've learned a lot. This is awesome. You should definitely contact Danielle. We all should be going on our fitness journey and our wellness journey. We only have one body that we live in, and we should be cherishing it as our temple. And it's really important to get your fitness and your nutrition and everything together. So this was really great. I enjoyed this so much. I'm gonna have to invite you back again so we can get deeper into some things, because I think this is such an important topic. And until next time, everyone, this has been another episode of the Network Hour podcast. I'm your host, Molly Crease. Until next time, live, laugh, and love. Thank you.
Bye.